Good morning, anglers. This is Anglers 48, and today we're gonna do a tutorial on how to cast a cast net. We have one of my subscribers, Manuel Garcia. He had a question, and he was wondering if I could make a video este, demonstrating, how I cast my net. So you will find different ways people use to cast their net. I, in particular, learned this particular way. Let me go ahead and get to work. Again, no fishing today. Today is Thursday, March 25th, and for the most part, anglers, I have a 3.5 foot cast net, and this is it right here. The cast net is weighted down at the bottom, so you have the ability to cast it a good distance and be able to have the net go to the bottom very quickly. And you got a line to the cast net. This particular cast net has a sleeve where you can put it into your wrist. So if you're a right hand person, you're gonna put it on your right wrist. And what I usually do is you grab your cast net line and you start folding it like the same way you would fold a garden hose after you're done using it, or a lasso. Okay, so you keep on rotating it, making it into circles like this, and you want to be able to with your other hand, okay, pick up the neck of the net like this. Okay, depending on where you place your right hand is gonna determine the most how should I say, leverage. If you get it up too high, you're not gonna have that good of leverage. You're not gonna be able to cast it the right way. So you want to be able to, depending on the length of the cast net. I personally like to get it about right there, maybe about close to a foot, 3/4 of a foot from the neck. And here, you want to make sure that it's not tangled up. Okay. Hopefully the camera is capturing it. So with one hand, with your left hand, you're gonna grab the end. Doesn't matter which end, like this. Just make sure that it's not all twisted up and everything. And what I do is I bring it to my waist, and then I go about maybe 2 feet apart from your left hand. Okay. What you want to do is when you're casting a net, it's all about getting that circular. You want it to be able to spread out completely. So if you get it too close, that's not gonna help. If you get it way too far, that's not gonna help either. So you bring it close to your waist, and you go about maybe 2 feet, maybe about 1 3/4. So you bring it behind you, and then you spin it. It has to be a spinning motion. You cannot just toss it in front of you. It has to. You're right. Like if you're turning the steering wheel of a big semi truck, it has to rotate completely. Now, if you wanna, you let it sit completely to the bottom, and then you're gonna practice the same motion of how you bring in a garden hose. Okay, you make these circular motions. You don't want you don't want them too big or too small. So as far we're talking about leverage and you having to be able to do it correctly. So your right hand has to end up right here, down at the last part of your line. With your left hand, you're gonna push in. That way your fish, whatever your catch is, doesn't get away. And then once you're out of the water, or if you have a bucket, you want to be able to suspend. You want to be able to open. And if you still have some fish that are kind of like in there, you open it up and you shake it. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and try that again. It's ready for your next cast. You go about that much right there. You don't want to do this. You want to do it right here. And again, sometimes with fatigue and tiredness, and also if you're casting with a lot of water, you know, if you're in the water and you're casting with the water up to your waist or a little higher, it is going to be a little bit more difficult, more challenging. So what you do is, once again, you grab the net, make sure that it's not tangled up, bring it to your waist, right there. You bring your hands back, and you make that motion. Again, same thing. You let it go all the way to the bottom, and then you bring it in very slowly. If for some reason your net gets snagged, don't keep on pulling it, because it'll tear, and you're gonna end up going home with a broken net. Now, safety is always gonna be the number one thing, anglers. You gotta practice safety. I have been in situations where I know that my net might get tangled with an obstacle, with something, and those are the chances that you take, you know, because again, you may not have the bait, you may not have the necessary tackle for what you want to do. So in situations like that, don't mess around with trying to retrieve the net. Don't try to go in there if you don't know the terrain, simply because you may find yourself in a situation where your body may be at risk, your life may be at risk. Okay, the net is saving the net is not a number one priority. Okay, so be mindful of where you're casting your net. If it's out in the open, like at the bay, okay, you may retrieve it. If you're fishing for example, if you're fishing on Highway 48, where there's a lot of oyster beds, sometimes it's not worth getting in there to try to fish it out, to try to take it out. You may end up slipping and fall on a bed of oysters. That's not good. If you're throwing into a deep end, if you're throwing into like a boat ramp, for instance, there may be debris on the bottom that can get it tangled up. Don't try bending over trying to fish it out. Don't. It's super dangerous when you do that. It's not worth it. So it's not very complicated. Again, there are cast nets. Like I said, I used to own a 4-foot cast net, and this is a very small cast net, anglers. It serves the purpose for what I need it. Now, if you're trying to cast for a big group, you know, it's 5 or 6, 7 of you, then you may want to go with a bigger cast net to increase your chances. If you're fishing off a boat, if you're on a boat and you know, the bigger the net, obviously, it's gonna be more beneficial, because when you cast it from a boat and the net is going down, again, your chances of catching fish increase dramatically. Now, if if you're getting a net that's like 5 feet, there are people that fold the net. Just pretend that this net is a 5 foot net. You can't do this, anglers, with a 5 foot net. There's no way. Even if you go a little further down, that also may result in getting your net tangled up. So some people, they've with experience and repetition, they put their net on their shoulder, and then they spin their bodies around like a propeller and use the force that they gathered to be able to suspend the net. So if you're a tall person, for instance, this may be a little too small for you. If your stature is a little shorter, then you don't want to get a cast net that's going to possibly be higher or taller than you are. So again, I hope it helps. Never cast a net without putting the end on your wrist, because it's happened where people cast their net and the net sinks to the bottom, and that's it. Try, good luck, trying to see that net again. So again, for those of you who don't have nets, again, it's something that you can, because a lot of people enjoy, that's fishing for them, anglers, casting, not necessarily throwing the rod out there. If they're doing their what I'm trying to say is, some people, to them, fishing is casting their net. That's what fishing is, anglers. Just remember, a little tip: when you're when you're casting your net, any game fish that you catch, you cannot keep. It's one of those rules that, again, game fish you can only catch with pole, line and pole. So again, it's a quick tutorial on how to cast the net. You may be watching this video and you might see things that you don't do, but if you're doing a certain way of casting and it works for you, great. Again, there are many other different ways to cast the net. This is how I learned, and this is how I cast my net. And believe it or not, over time it saves you money, because you can spend $4 or $5 on a bag of frozen mullet when you can catch live fresh mullet, and you don't spend that those $5 or $6. So with that being said, this is the end of the tutorial. I didn't want to let you all know that just today I purchased some walkie-talkies. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. If you go out in groups, it's very important to have that communication. For instance, when I go fishing, I drift away from my partner in crime, Tony. So it also helps for safety. Number one, for safety. And also, if you hit the honey hole and you wanna let your buddy know, hey, page him. You don't want to take your phone. Sometimes I don't take my phone in there because I'm afraid that I'm gonna drop it in the water or something while I'm making a phone call. But the walkie-talkie, you clip it, and all you have to do is, like the police officers, they have their little gadget here. They press it, they talk into it, and the message was sent off. Worst case scenario, buddy, come and help me. Something's wrong with me. That can also be a lifesaver. So, with that being said, I wish you all safety in the water, angler. Safety number one. That's the number one. Whether you catch fish or you don't catch fish, that's second. But safety is number one. You go to the water and you come out, you made it. You did it. Okay. If you caught some fish, hey, that's a plus. So as far as before I cut off here, maintenance very little maintenance do you need. Just hang it on a pole, on a gate, something. Just wash it down, put it away, and it's ready for next time when you go fishing. I'll leave you with that. I wish you all also good health with all this, the coronavirus and stuff. Just also, anglers, there is an ordinance from 12 to 5. So if you plan to do any fishing, try to do it not on those times. Don't be on the road on those times because law enforcement is out there. And again, we want to abide by all the laws the Texas Parks and Wildlife has. So until next time, stay safe. This is Anglers 48 signing out.